What a performance by Kevin Gausman. Oh my goodness, give it up. Is he your game one starter? We'll talk about that on today's episode of Locked On Blue Jays.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. As always, I'm Brayden. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Brayden5 Carter First, too, as well on our main Twitter account, at Locked On Jays. And if you're new here and you haven't followed us on Instagram or TikTok yet, you can do that at Locked On Blue Jays. If you're new here to YouTube as well, hit the subscribe button. You guys have been killing it lately. Keep that going. We did get over 3,400. Hat tips to all of you guys. Thank you so much. And for all the comments lately. We got a lot to talk about probably early next week from some of the comments that you guys have left. So we'll get into that at some point as well. But this game and a lot of information that has come out now about some roster moves, we got to talk about it all. Obviously, Kevin Gausman, this offense, the roster moves, and of course, the series preview. A lot to cover today, Carter. And you know, we're recording this Thursday night. So me and Carter also got some football to watch. Carter, my man, Kevin Gausman, what a day. What a day. Everybody was asking, are we going to see prime Kevin Gausman this year? The answer is yes, apparently. The guy was absolutely electric against a playoff team in the Houston Astros. What were you feeling during this one, Carter?
Is that how the common Blue Jays fan was sounding too?
Sure.
That's how they were asking. They used that voice as well.
Yeah.
Oh man, but it's so insane, insanity from Kevin Gausman. Man. It's just, it's exactly what you need around this time of the season. We've been a guy and an organization. We've been asking for a guy to step up within that organization and insert himself as that number one starter, just assert himself as a playoff starter, as one of the top three guys in a playoff rotation. And Kevin Gausman has clearly done that. Like, it's gotten better and better and better, it's seeming like, with every single start recently. Complete game shutout, 2 hits. Like, it's just the stat line itself is absolutely ridiculous. But there's so many little things that were involved in just Kevin Gausman, like not just this start, but starts previous, that have been so fun to watch in terms of Gausman's appearances. For one thing, the velocity on his fastball. The command is one thing as well, but just the ability at his age, at this point in the season, with all the games that he started, all the innings that he's logged, to continue to keep up the fastball velocity in the 5th inning, the 6th inning. In this case, the 9th inning, he's throwing 95, 96 with the fastball. Touched 98, I believe, in the 7th inning it was. So the velocity throughout his outings are not a problem whatsoever. That's one thing like I really noticed today with Kevin Gausman was the fastball life, obviously. Like, you saw the life on every single one of his fastballs, and just the location on a lot of these fastballs as well. Specifically the ability to work that fastball low in the zone. Because with that splitter, the idea is that it drops off the face of the earth. It drops into the dirt and you get hitters to swing over top of it. But you're not going to get hitters to chase at that splitter if you're not throwing fastballs in the strike zone at the bottom of the zone, because that's your establishing point. That's the pitch that they think they're getting when you throw the splitter. They think it's a fastball at the bottom of the zone, and then it drops off the face of the earth. If you start locating that fastball, and not just right over the middle of the plate, he's locating it on the inside part, low and inside, low and outside. It can catch, part of the middle at times, but when you're mostly living on the edges, that you're going to set yourself up for a ton of success. So having that fastball location, especially at the bottom of the zone, was one of the massive reasons why Kevin Gausman was so effective in this game. Obviously, the splitter being a ridiculous pitch as well is beneficial. Like, even at the top of the zone today, we saw Kevin Gausman throw the splitter sometimes, and it looked like it was almost dropping a foot. Like, it almost looked like the Brayden 12-6 when, he was back in his prime. You're definitely going to love that tape there. But just unbelievable stuff from Kevin Gausman. An absolute pleasure to watch, especially against a playoff team and a probable division winner in the Houston Astros.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so one thing I wanted to touch on was that this doesn't happen that much anymore. This isn't commonplace in the league. In the entire league before this Kevin Gausman outing, there was only 26 complete games in the MLB, which is wild numbers. If you go back 20 years, this was 20, 30 years, this was a little bit more commonplace.
Even like the 2010s, like if you go back to that when like Roy Halladay was pitching, not necessarily even for the Toronto Blue Jays, like you had a lot of complete games even during them, like the Felix Hernandez, like those, like that kind of era, even
Yeah.
the early 2010s. You saw a lot of complete games.
Yeah, and so Kevin Gausman is the 27th of the year, and at this point of the season, I don't see there being a ton more. So you really got to give him his hat tips. And he said at the end of the game, when talking with Hazel May on the field, that he was gassed. Like you could see in that final inning, like he was doing everything he could to get through that. And some people are going to say, well, he didn't throw that many, like it was only 100 pitches. Like it wasn't like he was throwing 130 pitches. No, that's true. But when you're sitting and going back in and sitting and going back in for 9 innings, that takes a toll on you. It's not about just the throwing pitches. It's staying locked in mentally. And it's mentally exhausting when you're out there throwing that much. You're thinking about every pitch, thinking about your release point, thinking about, where you want to start this pitch, the tunneling, everything, right? So that's a lot to do for 9 straight innings of only 2-hit baseball, right? And he didn't want to let anything up. He wanted to keep going. He wanted to prove to not only management, but probably Blue Jays fans that he's the guy. And I think what he's done in these past couple starts is prove to not only this management group, but to all the fans that something that, I wouldn't let go is that Kevin Gausman is the guy. He is that number one. And I think we've gotten to a point, Carter, me and you had conversations of this team doesn't have a number one guy. I'm at the point with watching Kevin Gausman over these last few starts. Kevin Gausman is a number one pitcher. It's just that we didn't get to see this prime Kevin Gausman for, I don't want to say a majority of this year, but he wasn't this, you throw him in, you know what you're going to get type of guy. Whereas lately, he's been that guy. He has been, Kevin Gausman goes onto the mound, and other teams should be terrified. That's how good he's been right now.
Yeah, a lot of it does just stem from the fastball and the life that he has on that fastball. Like when you even go back to last year, like a lot of the time he's sitting 94, can even be at 93 at times, 95. Now we've seen him like the floor for Kevin Gausman right now, and his velocity seems to be 95. So just having that extra life on that velocity and that fastball is so important for a veteran pitcher. It's funny that you bring up like the that this doesn't happen much anymore because like Buck Martinez, if you guys listen to the broadcast, I think he brought that up a million times. He's, Dave Steve did this 30 times every single season back in the day. And then Roy Halladay and then Jose Fernandez, like back then, Greg Maddux, he brought it up a lot, especially with the pitch count, how efficient Kevin Gausman was. It's like Greg Maddux did that in his sleep where he threw complete games under 100 pitches. So, yeah, it was just funny that, you bring that up. Obviously, I'm not sure if you were listening to the broadcast as well, but that's the first thing that I thought of was just Buck Martinez bringing it up every single chance he got. But, like, you guys are right, though. It doesn't happen anymore. It's just like the game has gone away from it. Like, if you see pitchers go, honestly, into the 7th inning now, you're like, that's pretty impressive. Like, you don't see that a whole lot nowadays. And just back to the Kevin Gausman kind of saga of it all. Like, this guy has been ridiculous in his last few outings. Like in his last 7 games, a 3.13 ERA, 40 strikeouts, and 0.85 whip. Just going over his last 3 starts specifically, just going like completely into these game logs. One of them was against the Milwaukee Brewers. Again, a pretty good baseball team, obviously. He had 7 innings pitched there, 4 hits, 1 earned run, given up over 8 strikeouts. 96 pitches in that game, 66 of them were strikes. This part of that is what I'm going to get into. You go into his next start. This one is against the New York Yankees. Again, pretty good offense there. 8 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, did give up a home run in that game, 5 strikeouts, 105 pitches, 68 of them being strikes. And then you go to this game being against the Houston Astros, maybe the worst offense of those 3, but still not a bad offense per se whatsoever. Still got a lot of stars throughout that lineup, especially Yordan Alvarez, who was a problem at times throughout this series. But going into this start, that was 9 innings pitched, the complete game shutout that we just saw. 2 hits given up, 9 strikeouts, 100 pitches, 79 strikes. Kevin Gausman's been in the strike zone a whole lot, and that's been a common theme when you talk about even any pitcher on this Toronto Blue Jays team. A lot of times when they're struggling, they cannot find their command. They are not in the strike zone, and if they are in the strike zone, it is right over the middle of the plate. We have seen Kevin Gausman and his command be so effective. Like he was throwing first pitch strikes. I know at one point it was 20 out of 24 batters. If you go back, it was probably about 85 to 90% of the batters he faced. He said himself in the post-game interview, he felt like he was ahead of literally every single hitter. He said himself 90% of the time he thought that he was up 0-1 on the opposing batter. And we talk about advantage accounts on this podcast a lot. It matters a ton, whether you start the hitter off 1-0, 0-1, especially that 2-1 to 1-2 count. Like that's that one specific pitch can change the complete trajectory of an at-bat. So being in the strike zone, and not just being in the strike zone, effectively commanding your pitches, has been something that Kevin Gausman has just been getting better and better at as the season has progressed.
Yeah, Carter. I mean, me and you from just pitching experience a little bit, we can testify to how important that is. Like mentally, I remember you're on the mound, right? And it's so different from a defense perspective as well. Whereas like if a guy like you goes in, pitching in the zone after hitters, here you go. I'll try to even let the defense play worst case scenario compared to some of the other guys we used to have in high school where it was like, goodness, like they're starting 0-2 or 2-0 and then having a battle back. And as a defense, it puts pressure on you. So it is mentally, not only for the pitcher, it's more mentally draining when you're down an account early, but it's for the defense, the people behind you that are now having to look for that hard hit ball, that ace swing that these guys are going to get off, right? Because they're ahead in the count as a batter. And you know what, Kevin Gausman, I want to throw this in here before we dipped out and talked about the offense. I want to talk a little bit about the defense as well, because a great day from Addison Barger at third base. And Kevin Gausman gave him a couple hat tips, glove tap, whatever it is throughout the game, because Addison Barger was really, really, really good defensively. So huge shout out to him for that one.
Yeah, if there was ever going to be like a little tiny silver lining, maybe a little advantage of Bichette being out, is that maybe the defense in the infield gets even that much better, especially at shortstop. Like Ernie Clement looks so just fluid and natural at shortstop. Like you can tell shortstop is Ernie's natural position, but you're not going to get playing time there when Bichette's healthy, and that's for obvious reasons. Like Bichette is arguably the best hitter on this team, and was arguably the hottest hitter in the league before that injury. But like having Addison Barger at third base, like there was a line drive Christian Walker hit where he snags it, a couple diving plays throughout the game as well. There's 3 specific plays that I kind of, like wrote down in my notes, like, oh, those are very nice plays from Addison Barger. And the comfortability that he's shown throughout this season, just the strides he's made offensively and defensively on both sides of the ball compared to what we even saw in 2024, where Addison Barger was not advertised as a very good defender whatsoever, especially at third base. And that's where we've probably been the most comfortable seeing Addison Barger, I think, up to this point, is as the third baseman. So not even just for this season, it just gives you a lot of hope seeing the strides that Addison Barger has made offensively and defensively, that, hey, the future is pretty bright here in Toronto at third base.
Yeah, it really is nice to see. Carter, I think let's take a quick break. Let's come back. We want to talk about the offense and then a few roster moves as well. Some big ones, actually, like debatably the biggest roster moves type situations that we've had in a long time. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back when we come back after this.
Today's episode is sponsored by Nutrafol. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything, but that's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is the supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. Whether you are at work, out with friends, or even just getting ready in the morning, Nutrafol gives you more confidence in your daily routine. I love that Nutrafol is very simple. There's just 4 pills with a meal, no prescription needed. It is super easy and convenient to get your treatment in at any times throughout the day. So you can see thicker and stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol today. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That is Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB.
So, Carter, continuing on, obviously we're going to talk about the offense probably here first, but some big, massive roster moves that we'll get into. I guess, where do you want to start with this offense? Because it was, you just had a good feeling in comparison to the last couple games. You had a really, really good feeling about how this team started, and they started early and hot. And I think that's something that really is a tone setter for this entire team. If they can get to somebody quick and early, it sets them up so much better. Like, yes, it's great to see sometimes this team make a huge comeback, but man, it puts a lot of stress on not only the team, but me watching these games as well. So really, really big shout out to those guys for getting the job done early and putting some runs on the board. It probably took a lot off of Kevin Gausman as well.
Yeah, just as a guy that's, been a pitcher, not in these, massive situations, obviously, like Kevin Gausman, but just as a guy that's played baseball throughout your career, it's a lot easier to pitch with the lead. You just feel a lot more comfortable being on the mound, whether it's a 1-run, like 9-run lead, you're probably going to feel more comfortable, obviously, with a bigger lead, but having any sort of offense, just seeing that your offense is kind of alive and just, not going to roll over early on, just seeing that they have some sort of life, knowing that they're going to be there if you do make a mistake, it allows you to be more aggressive and just be a lot more confident on the mound. Whether, again, you are 9 years old playing T-ball or you're Kevin Gausman pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays amidst of a massive playoff run. So that is a massive thing for any pitcher. But again, it's the offense, getting offense and production from multiple guys throughout this lineup. I guess we'll start, in the first inning and with Nathan Lucas, a guy that we've talked about a lot throughout the year, obviously, but not as much recently. This is a guy that I said I'm comfortable for sure hitting in that number 2 spot, especially against right-handed pitching, because you see what he does at the plate. You see how scrappy he is. You see his ability to get the bat on the ball, him fouling off pitches, him not swinging or not chasing a whole lot, him being able to take the ball to the opposite field, as we saw multiple times throughout this game. So George Springer, again, hustling as he always does this season, getting that infield single. Then Nathan Lucas taking a pitch the opposite way. George Springer, again, flying around the base paths like he's 25 years old. Maybe this is, I was going to say when he was in his prime, but maybe this is the prime of George Springer at 35 years old. But Nathan Lucas driving a ball the other way off Christian Javier, who is not a slouch by any means. Maybe not having his best season, but definitely it does still have what it takes to get outs at the MLB level. So I guess we'll start with Nathan Lucas, just shouting him out. Just another guy that maybe if you're not a Toronto Blue Jays fan, you don't know a lot about, but for a guy that's never really gotten a chance in the major leagues, has taken massive steps, along with, again, a handful of other guys that you could bring up. But shout out to Nathan Lucas for his contributions in this game and then honestly throughout the entire season.
Yeah, and that's it, right? Like we sort of end up lumping some of these guys in together because of what kind of seasons they have. But really, Nathan Lucas just has been a consistent, good, solid bat for this team. Takes pitches well, makes contact on, the pull side, opposite field. Sort of he does it all. He's not going to have those towering blasts too often, but even that we've seen from him once in a blue moon. So, yeah, he really just has been a little bit of a rock for this team. So big shout out to Nathan Lucas. But I did want to mention as well, when it comes to the offense, is the base running decisions in this game. I just thought the way that they were ready for any situation. I think about that Addison Barger when he pops it up and gets lost in the sun, just the ability and the knowledge to get going on that play. You sort of play it with a bit of a lead. And then if you have to go back, but get ready to run, because they do know that the sun is an issue sometimes in these afternoon games. So I think just a big shout out for the base running in this one. And then, of course, I don't want to gloss over my boy, Davis Schneider. He stepped up to the plate, Carter, and I looked over at my buddy Tyson because I was watching it on my work computer. And I'm like, hey, watch this, Davis Schneider home run. Literally that pitch, bang, Davis Schneider home run. I absolutely love it. His ability to, and honestly, not even the home run balls just specifically, but even on his fly ball RBI, the ability to get to that high pitch and it not be sort of like a weakly hit, saws you off type of thing, where you're able to still send that baseball deep enough to get the RBI there. Davis Schneider just, continues to show, at least to me, why he's one of my favorite Blue Jays.
If this team wasn't so deep, like Davis Schneider would easily be playing every single day for the Toronto Blue Jays, because you look at the stats now, and this is a guy that you would think, oh yeah, he's going to be mashing left-handers, which he does. Like, I'm not taking that away from Davis Schneider, but he's hitting righties better than he's hitting left-handed pitchers this season. And what we saw in this game is he hit that home run off a righty. That's one thing. But the second thing is that's a high and inside fastball. And that's a pitch that Davis Schneider, throughout his entire career and his tenure with the Toronto Blue Jays, has struggled with immensely. Like, that has been his kryptonite, that has been his weakness, and he turns on a pitch. It's a beautiful swing, like one of the best swings I think I've seen from Davis Schneider since becoming a Toronto Blue Jay. And then again, like when he comes up for that sack fly situation, that Davis Schneider at this point, like he's a guy that if we need a fly ball, like he's probably my number one guy, or if like we're top two, probably maybe Ernie Clement's up there as well. Like he's up there for sure though, as a guy that I want to hit the ball in the air, because that's what he's returned to doing, and that's where he has success. Is he has a very good knowledge of the strike zone. He's not going to chase a whole lot. He's going to take his walks when they're there, and he's going to hit the ball in the air to the pull side. And that's where you see some of the power, and that's where you see some of the home runs start to come for Davis Schneider. So if he can start hitting at any sort of consistent pace against right-handed hitters, like this is going to be a guy that's going to have a role for the Toronto Blue Jays, not just this year in the playoffs, for the foreseeable future. And every time he does something, gets brought up the 28th round pick, and it should. I don't want to take anything away from that, because what a journey David Schneider has had, even just within the last 2 years. Like, battling, setting records for the Toronto Blue Jays, completely struggling, falling off the face of the earth. I pretty much wrote him off along with a lot of other Toronto Blue Jays fans. And maybe that goes to show with some of these younger guys, if they do struggle, at times throughout the year and at times when they're in the major leagues, maybe you shouldn't write them off nearly as quickly as we should have been doing. But that's, it's kind of a funny thing, as later on in this episode, we're going to be talking about a different guy that had a lot of high praise in the Toronto Blue Jays system that maybe we should have given up on a little bit earlier after we had that controversy.
Yeah, Carter, and I think let's jump into it, because there are a lot of roster moves and updates that need to happen. But I'll cap off sort of the game here.
Yeah, I got one more thing after as well.
Sure. You know what? You go. I'll finish it off.
Okay. Yeah, that works for me as well. So just throughout the game, just the continuance to just be pesky, be persistent with these at-bats, like not getting up 4-0 and still wanting to add more in that 8th inning. And I just wanted to loop this back into Kevin Gausman a little bit as well. This is probably the first time throughout the year where I was kind of hoping, like, once the Jays got up like 6-0, David Schneider came up, I'm like, hey, hit a home run and then get out of the inning. Because Kevin Gausman, like, I wanted him to get that complete game shutout. I wanted him to come back into the game. And the only way that was not going to happen is if the inning continued to persist on. Kevin Gausman had to sit there and get cold for half an hour to 45 minutes. And then you would have taken away his complete game shutout. Yes, it would have been fine. Like Tommy Nance would have came in, Gimenez, whoever it would have came in, probably shut the door. But just as a personal accolade, like I wanted that for Kevin Gausman so bad. That was probably the first time this season I was cheering against the Toronto Blue Jays offense to get out of a baseball game, just in the best interest of Kevin Gausman. But shout out to that Blue Jays offense, making me, even have those thoughts in the 8th inning. Again, you're up 4 runs, you add 2 more insurance runs. Maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. But in a playoff scenario, where it doesn't matter about the playoffs even at this point. Every game's meaningful at this point. We're playing meaningful baseball games. The ability to add on runs late in the game is a massive attribute for a Toronto Blue Jays team, for any baseball team in the major leagues.
Yeah, you're right. And that's what we've asked of this team, right? Is to not take the foot off the gas pedal, to keep pushing, to keep grinding, to wear down the other team. So yeah, big shout out to them for that. And I'll wrap it up here, Carter. I said this was a must-win series, and I think it was needed. And now seeing what's been happening, obviously with Detroit taking it to New York, gaining the lead. And I mean, again, if Detroit ends up losing this final game to the Yankees.
Yeah, it's 5-1 right now, bottom 4, as we are recording this, for the New York Yankees. So probably a game that they're going to win. Again, crazier things have happened, but like that, you're taking care of business, and that's what you want to do as the Toronto Blue Jays. That's why they're in there right now.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? You're first in the AL again, if that's what ends up finishing up, if Detroit ends up losing. So there you go. But it's time. I do want to get into the roster moves that have happened, and a couple updates as well before we take a break and go into the massive weekend series preview. Alek Manoah, he's back. He gets reinstated from the IL. He's sent to AAA, which in turn, probably the biggest move here and probably the most shocking to a lot of fans. They DFA Aurelvis Martinez, Carter. Thoughts, feelings? I mean, obviously, he is a guy that's completely fallen off since the PED suspension. Did you expect a DFA here?
Not exactly. I know, like, it hasn't been good, but this has been a guy that's been the top prospect in the Toronto Blue Jays system like a year and a half ago. Like, this is not far removed from this guy being one of the top prospects, albeit in a very bad Toronto Blue Jays prospect pool. This is why, like, at trade deadlines, at even in the offseason, whenever it happens, like, where people are, protecting these prospects. And I guess some prospects, like, are different than others. When you sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr., like, you see Shohei Ohtani or whatever. Like, there's specific prospects that you look at, Juan Soto, that these guys are like, okay, these guys are different. Paul Skeens, like, you know that these guys are like a dime a dozen. Like, they're hard to come by, so you don't want to move on from those guys necessarily. But for the guys, like, even example, Cal Steven, which a guy that I really liked, honestly, when the Toronto Blue Jays drafted him, You got a guy like Shane Bieber who can help now. Like, we have no idea how good Cal Steven is going to be. And I guess you had no idea how good Shane Bieber was going to be coming off of Tommy John. But you know what? Shane Bieber has been good at the major league level at some point in recent history, whereas Cal Steven has not even been close to the major leagues. So with those prospects, with Elvis Martinez, who was one of the highest touted prospects in the Toronto Blue Jay system, a guy that was thought to come up to the major leagues and be, a 25, 30 perennial home run hitter, now not being on the Toronto Blue Jays, it's just crazy how quickly things could change. Just even looking at Toronto Blue Jays roster in 2024, 2025, not a lot of significant changes, at least on the field looking at 2025, but man, has the product on the field changed from those 2 seasons.
Yeah, it really has. It really has. So huge update there for those of you that are Elvis Martinez fans. Well, there you go.
Here, I kind of got into the Elvis Martinez part of it. How about you get into like the Alek Manoah part of it? Like, since he is back with the Toronto Blue Jays, like, what is his role going to be? I'll let you kind of take the floor with this one. What do you expect from Alek Manoah?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go because, a guy that sort of gets lost in the weeds when talking about this season, right? But to me, this is absolutely not a this season move. This is get this guy some reps, get him back throwing so that next season you hopefully get the starter Alek Manoah that you can. Because right now, I mean, flat out, there's just not a ton of room on this squad right now to put Alek Manoah. That's the problem. And we don't know how he's going to be. Hopefully he's great. Hopefully when he comes back, he's the Alek Manoah that we all prayed he would become. But right now, not a lot of room for
but in your head, if this is not a this season move, why is Elvis Martinez getting DFA'd? Like, why is there even a move
being made
here? Does this go to show like Elvis Martinez has really been that bad, or they're that low on Elvis Martinez? Or is it that maybe they do have a plan for Alek Manoah at the major league level, but we haven't seen Eric Lauer pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays like at all in the month of September. And this is a guy that's been the saving grace for the Toronto Blue Jays. So if Eric Lauer isn't pitching, like, is Alek Manoah going to lug that many innings? So, well, a little bit of an interesting scenario. But yeah, I want to hear your take on that.
Yeah, you know what? Totally fair assessment. And again, it's tough for me to say anything when it comes to Elvis Martinez because I'm not in the locker room. I'm not part of these decisions. I don't see what's going on in the
Do you want me to go over his stats in 2025?
Like, no. Just kind of I mean, go for it, sure. But it doesn't really have anything to play with me. To me, what this shows me is that there was some other issues just in stats because you don't give up on a guy that was your top prospect if there's not some other things that are going on here. And again, I'm not one to get into the weeds on that because, like I said, I don't know what is or isn't going on. The numbers aren't good. Yeah, I mean, if you got them pulled up, they just aren't good, Carter.
Maybe he's trying to juice again. Like, maybe, like, I'll go over the numbers. I'll start that rumor, put it out there again. Jeez. But these are the numbers that Elvis Martinez has in 2025. And yeah, maybe this is the reason why the rumors are saying he might be wanting to juice. And the Toronto Blue Jays aren't letting him, and he's been persistent about it. And like, he's not taking no for an answer. The Toronto Blue Jays had to DFA him. I'll just go over that, the stats here. 333 at-bats in 2025 in AAA, a 176 average. There's 13 home runs there, so he is still possessing some of the power. But 32 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, and OPS of 836. It's just not very good for Elvis Martinez. 112 strikeouts. So he's striking out at like 33% of the time. Like, that's not good at any level, especially at the AAA level, especially for a guy that, again, was once your highest touted prospect. So that could have something to do with it. But yeah, it's just weird. It's a weird scenario how it goes that quick. Like, you give up on a guy that quickly, who does still possess that home run power, is 23 years old. Again, nothing confirmed here, but yeah, what isn't the wildest take to say that maybe there is something going on behind the Toronto Blue Jays management or behind closed doors, or maybe it's just one of those things that he needs a new, like, fresh scenery. He needs just a change of scenery. He needs a new place to go and kind of have a reset in his career.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because then why don't you keep him and then trade him next season or something in the offseason? I don't know. A lot here that we don't have clarification on. And
they could have been shopping him at the deadline and nobody wanted him. Like, there's so many things that, like, who knows where teams are at with Elvis Martinez. Clearly, the Toronto Blue Jays are not high on Elvis Martinez because I pretty much agree with you. I think Alek Manoah, like, maybe they test him out a time or two throughout the season just to see kind of what he has. But again, like, if there's any sort of game with meaning, like, this is not the time to be seeing if Alek Manoah can, be serviceable for your baseball team when you have 6 guys that I'd probably prefer starting over Alek Manoah at this point.
Yeah. For right now, anyway, right? We'll see what happens next season and what he brings for sure. This isn't a guy that I'm going to write off because I think next year, obviously in the next coming years, you're going to have pitchers leaving. You're going to have to replace them. And it's very possible that Alek Manoah is going to have to step up and take one of those spots. But the other thing I wanted to get into, Carter, Anthony Santander hits a home run in his first rehab assignment out in AAA. So I don't know. At this point, I have no idea.
Trying to buy in a little bit like that.
I don't know. I'm completely lost. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, bring him back. All it takes is one game. Send him back here for the Baltimore Orioles series. Get the revenge against the Orioles there. Like maybe that's the time to start the fireworks. But I mean, it's not a bad thing that he's launching home runs down there. So if you, again, anything that you get from Anthony Santander, even if it's a game where he starts and he goes 0-4 with 4 strikeouts, like that's more than I expected from Anthony Santander for the rest of the season. You know, when we date back to June, July, I didn't think this guy would even be back with the Toronto Blue Jays here. Again, you want production, but we'll see if it persists even at the AAA level. See, again, we'll have to kind of see how that story develops as we continue on the stretch here, continue on getting closer and closer to Toronto Blue Jays playoff baseball and hopefully an AL East berth, and then hopefully a bye in the for surpassing the wild card round, and hopefully even then just winning the American League. That would be a very nice accolade for the Toronto Blue Jays to have. But another series that the Toronto Blue Jays are going to get into. 5 series left, 4 of them against AL East opponents. We'll get into which one this one is after this short break.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with can't-miss offers. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. $300 in bonus bets is massive. That's almost free money. Unless you lose $300 worth of bets. I mean, then I don't know what to tell you. Maybe just quit at that point. But it's free money, so why not take advantage? Especially, you just have to win your first $5 bet. Take something easy. Take a lock. Get the bonus bets. That's what you got to do. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. Trust me, I've gotten all my buddies now on FanDuel. It's hard not to when you get deals like this and, you know, some of their bet boosts and their special offers. You get to see what other people are betting on too. If there's a ton of people betting this certain thing, I'll click on that because it seems like there's a lot of people know what's going on. So it's a really awesome app. It's my go-to for sports betting. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. So, Carter, continuing on, obviously the Toronto Blue Jays, the Baltimore Orioles, and at this point, every season's massive. So, series is massive.
Every season is massive for the Toronto Blue Jays, especially when you got a podcast covering the team.
You'd hope so, anyway. You're hoping, well, we could have said that. We couldn't say that about last year, I guess. That wasn't a huge season, but
massive failure is what that season was.
Yeah, goodness. Anyway, why don't you kick things off? Tell us what's going on for the Jays, Orioles, with what now? Would it be 18, 17 games remaining?
16 games, 16. I think, because we got a 4-gamer against the Rays. Is 5. That makes sense. Okay, cool. Well, we can fact check that just to make sure. I'm pretty sure that is right though. But yeah, for the first game of the series, one that's a little bit of a scary one. Trevor Rogers having a career year for the Baltimore Orioles, really becoming that ace that they were hoping for at the start of the season to replace Corbin Burns. The unfortunate thing is they never really got anyone else to kind of help them out in the starting rotation. But it is Trevor Rogers versus Chris Bassitt. Then you have Tomoyuki Sugano in the midst of an okay season, probably subpar if you ask Baltimore Orioles fans. 4.51 ERA, 96 strikeouts against back Scherzer, and then you have a to be determined from the Baltimore Orioles. Probably a guy that's not very good, to be completely honest. Just you off that starting rotation. That will be against Shane Bieber. You got to continue on the momentum here. It's the Baltimore Orioles. I know it's a divisional series, but it's crunch time. It's your last one against them this season. This is the last place team in the American League East. This is my must-win series. I think you got to win 2 out of 3 here. The first game will be pretty tough to win, but I'm going to go with what kind of just makes sense, and I'm going to go with maybe the cop out a little bit here. I will say that they're going to lose that first game of the series. They get to Sugano, the soft-throwing righty, and then whoever it is pitching on that Sunday, it's going to be a slugfest. The Toronto Blue Jays take 2 out of 3.
I'm right there with you. Exact same, actually. I'm going 2 out of 3. I'm going Max Scherzer. I'm going Shane Bieber. These are the guys that you are hoping that are going to be your playoff starters. So you got to roll with them in a situation like this. And you know what? I was debating saying 3-0, but I do think Trevor Rogers is a good pitcher, and I think may give the Toronto Blue Jays a hard time here. So I guess get to him early, make him throw a lot of pitches, see if he can get to that bullpen quickly so that you can maybe secure for sure a series win here.
Well, and they don't have Jordan Westberg. They're not going to have Adley Rutschman, for better or for worse at this point with Adley Rutschman in his career. But the Toronto Blue Jays obviously missing their own stars as well. Bichette, Anthony Santander has been out for a million years at this point, but Bichette being the main one. So they're still going to have some work to do. Like, this is not going to be the easiest series of all time. Even if it wasn't an A-list opponent, the Baltimore Orioles just are one of those teams that played the Toronto Blue Jays hard, whether they have 100 wins on the season, they have 60 wins, or they're somewhere in the middle. So not expecting this to be an easy series whatsoever, but definitely an important series nonetheless. So just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. All the likes, comments, support recently has been very much appreciated as the games start dwindling down farther and farther and farther, down to 16 games left on the schedule, and everyone is going to be a grind. The heart's beating faster and faster as you get farther and farther into every single baseball game becoming more and more important. But Brayden, anything else to add for, I guess this would be the weekend episode?
No, everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Watch some Blue Jays baseball, and we'll be back with you raring and ready to go on Monday.